Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I may know you, but whoever's watching this interview may not know you. So could you say your name and how you identify yourself in maybe one line?
My name is Simona Muratore and I'm a senior lecturer in Italian at Emory University.
Great. All right, so what are you curious about? What are things in the world that you would want to learn more about in general? What topics or?
I want to learn more about the world. I love traveling the world and I love to learn about different kinds of cuisine around the world, different countries. And I love foreign languages. So I study different languages and I would love to speak all of them, but it's not easy. And what else am I curious about? I'm curious about literature. I love to read. I like to read books and I like to read foreign literature. So I like American literature, I like Russian literature, French literature, Italian literature, and of course Italian. I teach Italian literature too, so I like it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So in regards to these different cultures and everything, what are some dream recipes, maybe from around the world or maybe from your own culture that you would like to learn?
Some dreams recipes that I would like to learn how to make sushi.
Okay.
And because I haven't never made it, I would like to learn how to do chicken mole, like a Mexican dish, the mole. And then, I don't know. Then another thing that I would like to learn maybe is to do, come si chiama? The deep fry vegetables that do in Japan. Now I don't remember the name of it.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure of them either, but do you mind talking a bit more about your cultural background, where you're specifically from?
I'm from Florence.
Okay.
Florence is in the middle of Italy, so central Italy. And it's not a big city, but it's a very, very famous city. Like we have 600,000 people and maybe 1 million tourists.
Okay.
And there are lots of tourists all the time because of it was the main city for the Renaissance. So lots of main artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, they all come, Botticelli, they all come from the area.
Okay.
Because of we had this the Medici, the Medici family, who loved who love arts.
Oh, patrons for
patrons.
art.
Yeah, they were patrons for arts.
Yeah, okay.
So they were giving money to the artists, and all the artists were going to Florence and they were making fantastic art. And regarding food in Florence is very good and is very. We have one particular thing that is the bread that doesn't have salt. Like all the bread in Italy, probably around the world, they all have salt. In Tuscany, they don't put any salt when they make bread because of the things that we eat it with, like cold cuts or cheese, is really really flavored. So we don't wanna have the bread who is too strong. Then that is too strong. The salami or the prosciutto or the cheese that we eat, the bread.
That makes sense.
We have a tradition of eating wild boar and all the internal organs of the animals. Going back to sustainability, one thing that we have very, very imprinted in our culture is not to waste food. So, for example, an animal, not me, but most of the people in Florence, they eat everything. From the tongue, the intestine, everything is eaten.
My research focus is on the environment and sustainability, and so I guess this is great because we'll be working together a lot next semester on that. But personally, what do you think the relationship between food and the environment should be?
How it should be the relationship? It should be a balanced relationship, and so we should not take all the nutrients and take all the resources from the environment, which is like we should balance what we are taking from the environment, and we should, the things that we are taking and the way that we are getting resources from the environment should be protected. We should protect the environment in order to make it sustainable, in order to leave food for the future generation, and not just to get everything now and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. And so with regards to that, what specific problem is your greatest concern with regards to how we consume food? Like, is there a specific area or problem?
But definitely the water is the main problem. We are consuming too much water and too much not salty water, fresh water. And for food and also for using it for showers and for the common use, everyday use. So the main thing is water, and then also for the meat production, we are creating a mess environmentally. It's like we are polluting the world because we are eating too much meat, and the slaughterhouses.
Slaughterhouses, yeah.
Slaughterhouses are kind of like is one of the biggest carbon dioxide emission.
Okay. Yeah. So with regards to that, sustainable food, do you think pasta is a sustainable food?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, is it?
Pasta is is sustainable, but not like we think. Like, it's sustainable because, of course, it's been the grain, like the wheat, has been there forever. But the way that we process wheat today and the way we refine wheat is not as good as we think. And nowadays there is a big war against flour, against wheat, against refined wheat, and pasta is made of wheat. And so it's the way that wheat is processed is not really good for the environment. And that's what I'm thinking. That's what have you found out?
Oh, I just was curious because I think there's certain ways that pasta can be made that are more sustainable than others.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
But the way that big companies do, like Barilla, is not really sustainable. Like the big companies are making pasta that they have to produce in mass quantity. Is not super sustainable the way they are doing it.
Okay, so compare that with maybe the way we make homemade pasta, or maybe a smaller production might do pasta. What specific steps in that production can be made more sustainable?
Do you tell you the truth? I don't really know about it.
Okay.
It's a good question, and maybe if you discover it, we can talk about this during our course next semester.
Great. Yeah, that would be interesting. And so I guess with that, are there certain types of pasta dishes that are more sustainable to produce / consume than others?
Maybe the gnocchi, because it's mainly potatoes and less flour. And then I guess the one homemade, because homemade, of course you still have the flour that you have to use. But it's not made in the big factories where there is also the pollution that it creates.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think people tend to waste pasta when they consume it?
Not in Italy.
Okay, not in Italy.
Not in Italy. I don't know about here. Probably here they do, because they make such a big portions that you cannot eat it. So you either used to do the doggy bag, if not you throw it away. But in Italy we make it like exactly the way, the 100 grams that you have to eat for each person.
So actually while you were talking, I was thinking, so Barilla, these big brands, do they exist, or how widely consumed are they in Italy, or how prevalent are these big companies in Italy?
They are widely consumed. Everybody knows Barilla. And you find it in every supermarket, in every store.
Still
it's
in
one of the
Italy.
main, it's one of the biggest ones.
Okay. All right. And so, I guess with that in mind, so would you then say that being homemade pasta that is declining in?
Definitely.
Yes. Okay.
Before, they used to make homemade pasta almost every day. No, every day no, but definitely every weekend. And now we maybe make homemade pasta once a year or twice a year for special occasion, for like holidays or birthday. But yeah.
Okay. So, what did you grow up with? Did these big companies exist back then?
Yes,
or?
they did
Okay.
exist, and they were less companies. Now there are lots of companies, and also there are local companies that make pasta. So, for example, you can choose between Barilla, so the international company, or a small company that is from your hometown or from another place close by. And so we tend to prefer the small company than the big company. Of course, the big company is cheaper. That's why most of the people buy the Barilla or other things. And I grew up with maybe having homemade pasta once or twice a week from my grandmother and my mother. But I did buy, like my mother, my grandmother, they used to buy Barilla, they used to buy these companies. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you learn how to make this homemade pasta when you were growing up, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I learned how to do it, looking at them and then trying out, especially when your kids love to mess with flour and water and my favorite, I was telling my students before, one of my favorite hobby when I was a kid was to cook with dirt and stuff that you find, and also with flour. I used to cook pretending to be cooking, and of course when they were making homemade pasta I was always in the front line to help them.
Great. So, have you taught how to make homemade pasta to your kids or your family?
I taught my students how to make pasta. I taught how to make gnocchi to my students. Yeah.
Okay, and that's the type that.
That my grandmother used to make it a lot. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so what are challenges to sustainability with regards to food in Italy? And that may be more specific to Italy than maybe we see here in America.
It's definitely in Italy. We are still really involved with local food and farmers market. We never lost that part. We have supermarkets, of course, huge grocery store, but we use them especially to buy pasta, cookies. When we want to buy fresh food, people are still going to local markets and to farmers markets. And the challenge for sustainable food in Italy is going to be price-wise, because the companies they will be cheaper and cheaper. They are still cheaper than the local food. Like then, one person or two people companies, small company, they have more taxes. So I think the big challenge around the world, is not only around Italy, is the fact that big production are cheaper and people prefer to buy cheaper stuff.
So is there, do you think there's a difference in the way Italians eat compared to the way we eat or produce food that you would say that maybe people don't know about?
Definitely in Europe, in the whole Europe, there are stricter rules than in the States. So the standard of producing food and regulation is much higher than the one in Italy, than the one in the States. And people require more quality food. People really want to eat well. While here, I see that people don't really mind what they eat. It's more like a difference in we eat for pleasure and for taste, and here people in general, of course not everybody, eat for just because they want to be stuffed, they want to be supported with nutrients. And what was the question?
Yeah, I guess the way people eat compared to Italy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see the people here eat in the car, or eat while working, or while working.
Yeah.
And you don't see that in Italy. In Italy, we take a break. We used to go home until many years ago, until 10 years ago. Now, maybe people don't have time to do it anymore. But still, we take 1 hour or half hour, and we go away from our office with friends, and we eat a lunch. And we always eat at the table, never in front of the TV or never alone in different rooms. Always at the same time. So in a family you have maybe not lunch because people don't go back home, but at night everybody at 8:30 has to be in front of the table and eat.
So we learned in our class that there is of course pasta. So you just mentioned breads, but there's also you all have your rice dish, which is
Risotto.
Risotto, yeah, definitely. So with regard to all three of these different kind of carbohydrates and starches, apparently you're not supposed to eat too many, like maybe two at the same time. Do you find that one may be more sustainable than the other because these are all hitting on different types of grain groups, or?
Bread and pasta, no, because they come from the same. Rice, maybe rice.
Yeah.
Is the most sustainable one. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not really. I don't know much about it, and I will have to find out before our course starts.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, and so personally for you, what dish do you kind of find that you really enjoy, and it's kind of like a guilty pleasure, but it's not very sustainable, perhaps, to produce? Yeah.
I think is pasta, spaghetti with clams and mussels. And clams and mussels is not really sustainable to fish them all the time.
Because you believe there's like overfishing?
Yeah,
And that's
overfishing, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, and so there's a big push nowadays that for veganism, vegetarianism, gluten-free, and everything like that. So with regard to this, do you feel like your cuisine, Italian cuisine, is appealing to this, or does it? Because sometimes it can be argued that vegetarians and vegans are more sustainable. So do you find it's easy to do this if you're?
If I follow the Italian diet, definitely the vegetarian. Because we have lots of dish with vegetables. And vegetables is one of the biggest part of Italian cuisine. Of course, we have lots of meat too. But for years and years and years, only rich people could eat meat. Figured out tons of recipes just to use vegetables. And so vegetarianism, yes. Vegan diet, I'm not super sure. It will be a little bit more difficult because eggs, they don't need any different. So it would be a little bit difficult. But I know that now in Italy it's very popular.
To do that.
It's becoming really popular. And gluten-free is kind of hard in Italy because pasta and bread are kind of like the main two dishes. But I know that there are people that are following a gluten-free diet, but it's not crazy like it is here, that everybody is allergic to gluten.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way that the bread and the flour is produced here, or if it's just an idea of. It's definitely, if you are gluten-free, you definitely lose weight and you definitely have less. It helps for that. But about the allergy or intolerance to gluten, I'm not sure why lots of people have have intolerance here and not in Italy.
That's an interesting topic to explore.
Yeah, there are some people, but the people that are gluten-free in Italy, they are really, really allergic, meaning that if they eat it, they die. Here, there are people that choose to do it just because if it's a trend or something like that. And yeah.
Alright, that makes sense. And I guess like to end on a more high note and just like everything else, what is your favorite type of pasta shape or pasta dish? Yeah.
My favorite pasta dish is actually linguine.
Linguine? Okay.
Linguine or penne. Penne pasta.
Yeah. There's a penne alla
carrettiera or alla carbonara?
No, it just has tomato and I think like garlic. It's very simple, just tomato.
Arrabbiata.
It's not spicy.
Marinara.
Alla concha, alla cacio, something like that.
I don't
but
know.
I don't know. But anyways, I agree. It's very good. All right.
And
great.
penne.
Yeah, penne. All right. Well, that's
Finito?
Yeah, finito.
Okay.
This
was
was good. Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.